Thank you so much for joining us today. This is, I think, a really important conversation about what our schools are doing to prepare for next year and so we've invited folks from 3 districts in California, 1 down in San Diego, and then 2 closer to us up here in Davis, talking about just how schools and districts are supporting teachers and students for this coming year. So I'm going to have our speakers introduce themselves when they start talking. So first, we'll start with Joe Wood, who is from NATOMAS Charter School.
So hello, nice to see everyone, at least in this virtual sense. My name is Joe Wood. I am the executive director, which is kind of like a superintendent of NATOMAS Charter School. We're a 27-year-old charter school located in NATOMAS, which is a neighborhood within Sacramento, and we're part of the NATOMAS Unified School District. So NATOMAS Unified as a whole actually has 4 charter schools, and we work really closely with the district. So a lot of what our practices that we're going to talk about today are very aligned with what the district's doing. I can go ahead and bring up, I created some slides just to mainly kind of try to give you as much background information as you need quickly to kind of know what I'm talking about. So I mentioned we're 1 charter school, we're about 1,900 students. We actually have 5 small learning communities, or academies is what we call them. So some of them are site-based, meaning kids come to school every day, and some of them are independent study. Although our independent study programs, we offer workshops and on-site support. So the fact that campuses are closed to students is disruptive for all of our programs. Obviously more disruptive for the programs where kids come to school every day. And we serve TK through 12th grade students at our 3 campuses. So, just a little background, we've been around for 27 years. We're actually the 19th charter school in California, so we're really old. We're a teacher-initiated charter school, and so what that means in terms of the context of what we're talking about today is teachers have a strong voice in the types of instruction that we're doing and in really developing their curriculum. Like, we don't buy boxed curriculum and that sort of thing. So that means that we're having to do a lot of professional development and support with our teachers to make this transition into distance learning. So our plan that we've been talking with families about since the beginning of May is for a 4-stage flexible plan for learning based on the public health conditions. So we're hoping at some point this year, everyone's back on campus in a normal way, if you will. We imagine most of the year we're going to be doing hybrid learning where kids are coming in shifts to do physical distancing. We know that, like everyone else in our area, we're starting with distance learning. And then we'll always have some number of families that are choosing to basically learn from home for the duration of the school year. Could be they want to remain part of those site-based programs, doing something we call extended distance learning, or transferring to one of our 2 independent study programs. One of them is more of a homeschool program. The other is a virtual high school, blended learning high school program. We've been educating our families really on this concept of distance learning and helping them understand that we're trying to make a transition from crisis teaching in the spring to what we're really calling virtual schooling, and trying to think through, like, how do we replicate school as much as possible through Zoom, recognizing that Zoom has limitations, or Google Meets has limitations, but trying to create that consistency as much as possible for kids. Certainly, we hope not to be doing this the entire school year. That I think would make all of us really sad. But we're also trying to plan for that potential reality that this could be the whole school year, whether that's for every student or just for some students. So, we've been really educating our teachers and families about, what are the key elements of distance learning. And I think, like a lot of other districts and charters in the region, the one that a lot of people are just trying to struggle with is, what is this like high degree of synchronous or live instruction look like? How do we set teachers up for success? How do we set families up for success, knowing that not everyone has, the capability of learning independently at home? So what we've really kind of started with is this concept of, we're trying to make it feel like school. So in all of our programs, we actually are going to have kids on a bell schedule. And the idea is that they're tuning into the Zoom sessions during this bell schedule. The reason why we did this is that we're starting with distance learning. We imagine we're going to go to hybrid learning. And in our hybrid model, half the kids are on campus, half the kids are learning from home, but they're still in a cohort of students together. And even when everyone's allowed back on campus, we have some students that have significant health needs that don't want to be in an independent study program, but need to attend school virtually. So we're trying to have all of those structures in place. And so like looking at this schedule, this is one of our middle school programs. I won't, for essence of time, I won't go into why, but we need to make Wednesday basically the first day of our week. And so that's actually why the schedule is set up this way. But you can see there are points on this schedule, the red blocks, where there's structured class time, where the class is really coming together. And then there's periods of time in the week where it's more independent. These are the yellow sessions. And then we're trying to provide support in terms of office hours, both for students and for families. And we're providing technology to all of our students. So we bought iPads for all K-2 students and Chromebooks for all 3rd through 8th grade students, or 3rd through 12th grade students. And then strategizing internet access with families where needed. This is what a class period is going to look like generally. So the first, 10 minutes, everyone's logging in together. The teacher's doing some teacher guided instruction, kind of setting the norms for the class period, talking about, what the instructional goals are. Then they would transition into some sort of synchronous instruction via that video conference, might be 20 to 45 minutes, depending on the age of the class. The idea is that the teacher's leading the instruction, but also trying to make it interactive. And then there's a period of time where kids are working independently. It could be that they're still connected in on the Zoom call and they're just working separately on an assignment. Or it could be that the teacher is actually saying, I'm going to dismiss you for the next 30 minutes. I'm going to do small group rotations with like breakout rooms in Zoom. And then at the end of the period, we're going to all come back together to really debrief what worked. I can answer any questions that you might have. So trying to structure it kind of with almost like a gradual release of responsibility of, we're going to do everything together at the beginning and the teacher's really leading the learning. And then we're going into more of a, you're doing it independently, but then we're kind of coming back at the end to debrief what happened and how we provide supports. We're trying to take, as we roll out this plan with our students and families and staff, really taking an equity-based approach. So we're providing all of the resources in terms of technology. For internet, we're in NATOMAS, which is it was all developed in the last 20 years. So that means that it's got decent infrastructure. So what we're really focused on is working with parents who don't have internet access on what's available in the community. So Comcast is a big provider for us. So Comcast has the Internet Essentials program. So trying to work with families on that. The city of Sacramento is also doing high-speed internet in parks. So what's the neighborhood park that's near you that you could go to get internet access? And then we bought mobile hotspots or MiFi devices for the families that would need that. We've been doing virtual parent meetings since May, kind of keeping families in the loop of what's going on with our plans. But now what we're transitioning into is virtual support meetings. So we're actually having parent groups facilitating weekly meetings, probably by grade level. So like all the kindergarten parents getting together, all the first grade parents getting together around, what's working, what's not working, how do we provide support for that? Right now, we're trying to brainstorm childcare for essential workers. We have some questions from our public health department about whether or not we can do it. But if we can, the idea is that essential workers could have their kids come to school, and in what we would call historically our childcare program, there's actually some supports for distance learning. And that gets to the next part. We're trying to build distance learning support hubs, kind of with the idea that if public health allows us, maybe like our special education students, our English learners, or students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, they could come to school to get support during the day. It wouldn't be from their teacher necessarily, but maybe from an instructional aide or other hourly employee. And then the last area that we're working on, as I mentioned, we're planning on a shift model. So the idea is you're either on A shift or B shift. A shift comes to school Monday, Tuesday. B shift comes to school Thursday, Friday. And what we're talking about right now is we know we're going to have some number of families choose to just do distance learning for the whole year. And once we have that information, we'll have open spots. And so can we prioritize who gets to come back, if you will, for both shifts based on the students with the highest needs coming first? So our students with disabilities, English learners, et cetera. And then as space allows, allowing others to come back. And so, right now we're calling this our sprint to the first day of school. So we start on August 12th. That's our first student day. And so trying to really finalize our plans, we're doing a whole stakeholder feedback part with families and really trying to organize all of our professional development for teachers. And so in terms of professional development for teachers, our teachers have been intentionally planning for this since May. So we had all of our teachers redevelop their unit plans, scope and sequence documents, really focusing on missed standards from last year, or even power standards, if you will, those key essential learnings. We're building all of our assessment protocols so we can do probably in October or September some benchmark assessments to figure out where kids are at. We provided some summer support virtually. And then in terms of helping teachers develop their distance learning practices, we actually purchased this book to the right, this distance learning playbook, for all of our teachers and instructional staff. And they're actually doing an online book study right now. And then when teachers officially come back on the 6th, we're going to be doing some formal training around it, along with, we have a teacher on special assignment instructional coach who's going to be providing some support. And then throughout the year, one of our big mantras is our theme for the year is brave leaders, brave learners. And a part of that is finding your squad. So we're helping teachers develop PLCs. We've been using a PLC model the last few years that's really focused on this distance learning and looking at student achievement data. And we do something called professional inquiry projects, which is like a PLC where they're researching their practices, and then just ongoing coaching and support. So a lot of information. I'm happy to share these slides afterwards, but all of the resources that we've been sharing with our families and teachers are at that web address, natomascharter.org/coronavirus. So, if there's anything that you need for, the schools that you're working with or your own practice, feel free to take from what we have on that website.
Thank you so much. Yes, that was great. A lot of good resources there. But I'm going to turn it over to my friend NIKKI Reina-Guerra, who's from Davis Joint Unified School District. But thank you so much, Joe. That was really impressive. You've got a lot already in place.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, I'm going to see if I can hit present. Lisa, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay, great. They're not as pretty as Joe's. I am NIKKI Reina-Guerra. I am from Davis Joint Unified School District, right where UC Davis is. And I am the differentiation specialist. So basically I help support teachers who are helping support students on all spectrum of learning needs and planning, UDL, MTSS, PBIS, all of those things. And right now, actually, I am working with the California Partnership for Math and Science in partnership with the CDE to build model math and science lessons that we can present to teachers as a way of really a starting place, because we're doing this in a simulator. We've never done this magnitude of distance learning. And so we'll learn a lot, which I'm really excited about, but we're trying to put those supports, build those supports into the lessons so that teachers have them at their fingertips as they move through their lessons. And so that'll be exciting work as well.
And NIKKI, I'm going to give you you have approximately 4 or 5 minutes, and 5 minutes we'll say, only because we're
okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip past my first several slides, because I think Joe gave us a good overview of kind of what districts are thinking through right now. And really our district is doing everything with an equity and justice lens. So this is one slide that I thought might be important. We kind of brainstormed when Lisa told me about this conference about what worked for supporting student teachers in the classroom last year and how we might plan for that moving forward. The one thing that we didn't get, or we won't get in the fall, is we won't get to already know our students when we leave for distance learning. We are going to have to get to know them through distance learning. We won't already have those relationships in place. And so these are some of the successes we had with building communities. Mentor teachers really took initiative to help their student teachers build those relationships with students, gave them a space even on the learning management platform to introduce themselves, put a bio of themselves. Student teachers were taking an active role in technology. It was a really interesting time last year because we were all first-year teachers. So even our seasoned teachers were hanging on to our student teachers, like on a lifeboat, when the student teachers knew more about technology and things like that. And so we have this opportunity to learn together. Many teachers were departmentalizing and including student teachers. And then some of our teachers were really worried about meeting parents, our student teachers. That's so scary anyway to seasoned teachers. So some of them made a little video just introducing themselves so that they got the video how it felt comfortable to them and had some control over how the parents were meeting them, rather than just parents looking over their shoulders, their kids' shoulders and making these assumptions. They wanted the parents to be able to access who they are and get to meet them also. And so Lisa, just give me a time more. I'm going to go through our action teams. What our district did is they pulled over 200. What's that?
We're doing great. Couple more minutes.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a time minute. So we pulled 6 teams together, over 200 of our staff, in order to plan modules for development, professional development as we move forward. And those 6 teams are organized here under 3 kind of domains or topics. We have learning tools and guidelines. So our new LMS, which is Canvas, is in our learning tools, and how might we use Canvas to support our efforts for equity and access as we move forward. And then our conditions for learning, which is where I spent a lot of time as a coach and a lesson kind of designer. And we'll go through those slides quickly. And then we had health and safety, which is really, there's a lot of big decisions being made around health and safety, but those are by people. We're kind of just navigating around the decisions that other people make, but we can promote healthy hygiene practices. And so really with Canvas, how can we leverage our learning management system to support our goals of equity and access? And this is a great place for student teachers to help. Student teachers oftentimes have a lot more experience with learning platforms and can offer a lot to the environment. And then we have our structures and instruction, and that is what Joe kind of spoke to, like what are the must-haves in all of our lessons? How do we organize, how do we balance our asynchronous and synchronous learning? Where do we do our special subject blocks so that we're making sure that we have those in there? We really struggled with getting enough minutes for our kids. There are things that we want to do better, and we really took a look at what those things are. We want more minutes. We want more successes with our students with disabilities. We want to make sure we're reaching our English language learners and so forth. We have a block quarter schedule now in our secondary school, which it's a big shift for us. But that was done with equity in mind. We have students who are watching their siblings or sharing internet with their families, and trying to get through 7 classes a day is really hard. And so, lessening the number of classes so that students can perform duties at home that they need to, we're hoping that helps with that.
1 minute warning, Nikki.
1 minute?
Yep.
Okay. Anyway, these are some classroom practices for really how can we start right away to build a sense of belonging into our academic environment. We're really creating our students, their identities as learners, as math participants, and so forth. I would say do book groups with student teachers. These are our book groups that we are doing right now, and I think it would be great to get all of us involved and working together towards the good of the whole. And we kind of go through the other modules that we have, really having to do with culturally responsive teaching and how we make sure that we are keeping our standards, of learning and high expectations for all. So I won't go through all of the rest of them, but I will certainly pass these over to Lisa. Did I make it?
Thank you. Yeah, sorry to rush you. I just know this is a shorter session.
Okay.
Those were some great
fine.
ideas. Yeah, no, thank you so much. I like the idea.
Sure, and I mean, they're right there written, so if you want to look later, that works well.
Okay, great. So Heather, take it away. Thank you.
So I'm starting my 21st year with San Diego Unified, and I started as a classroom teacher. and moved up to site administration, and now I'm starting my 4th year as a central office administrator, which is in this department. So I like to say we're a little boutique department in a big district. So my department kind of spans the teacher pipeline, and the focus of what I'm going to kind of be working on with you and sharing with you is this piece here with our student teaching work and partnerships, and also we have interns. But student teaching is going to kind of be my focus, and I'm going to fly through these if it's okay with everyone. So here are the university partners we have. San Diego Unified has quite a few partnerships. I would like to shout out to UC San Diego's in the house. And they're the ones that invited me to participate in this. So super excited about that. And this kind of gives you at a glance the number of placements that we coordinate with all those partnerships. So quite a few placements that we have, and we are really interested in strengthening our pipeline through our university partnerships. So this is a little bit about our district. We kind of get lost in the shadows behind LA Unified because they're just so big, right? But we are the 8th largest urban district in the United States, and we are working off of a staff of 6,000 teachers with an enrollment of 126,000-ish. You can see the diversity of our student profile, and also down here kind of where we are with our low income and also English learner populations, which kind of drives our work and our focus and our mission around equity and accessibility for students. So back in the fall, we were making some splashes. We had some good press in our local San Diego Union Tribune for once. And we got the attention of UCLA. I saw UCLA was in the room. And we also got the attention of Stanford because we were, it was noted that we were an outlier as a district when it came to closing the achievement gap. And people wanted to know what we were doing. So I'm going to give you a chance to meet our superintendent in 1 minute. So that you can kind of see the foundation of what our work is when it comes to our students and really knowing our students and the expectations of our classrooms and our classroom teachers. Oh, shoot. There we go.
Our kids are coming into our classrooms with who knows what they faced over the weekend. I don't want it to be who knows what. I want to know, what have you faced? We have over 60 languages, some children coming to the United States for the first time. Kids are facing incredible challenge and transition in their home lives. And they come to school, and we want environments worthy of our children. We want to set up classrooms where they can learn to talk and listen to one another with collaborative conversations. We want students to know that we're here to unlock their genius, and we see their diversity and their language as an asset and a strength. And we want students to have voice and agency. So all that matters, and you can tie it back to what's my personal journey. Well, I want to know what your personal journey is. I want to know that for our leaders. I want to know that for our students. We're a community, and it's not just about the test score and just about the perfect master schedule and just about access to everybody and UCA through G. All of those things matter, but it's inside a living system of humans that take care of each other.
Okay, so that's just, I felt like that was a really strong minute to share with you around the theme of your conference, and just to know that that is our upper management, and that's what we are aiming and striving for as a district. So to kind of move into, I had seen that my colleagues on the panel were focusing a little bit more on the distance learning, and so I wanted to kind of share with you at a glance what we're doing about shifting our system, right? Not just our district system and school systems, but our classroom systems and structures to be more equitable and provide justice for each and every student that walks through our doors or logs onto our computers. And so in the past, we've worked with the National Equity Project, and I think this is great language. This changed my life as a site administrator when we talked about who is being successful in our system and who is not, and knowing each child in my school and understanding that we create that sphere and that structure of who's successful and who's not. And there tended to be a focus about moving kids into the sphere And one of the shifts we made, and that I think distance learning helped us do, is we had to, instead of focusing on deficit model of kids joining the sphere, changing the sphere so that more kids had access and were successful within their learning and the learning that they were experiencing. That isn't to say that we were highly successful. However, that is the place that we're coming from. And so with that as our kind of 7 years of work that we've been focusing on, just last week, I did include the link if y'all are interested in watching the 3.5-hour board meeting, but there is some—
1 minute. You have about
Thank
1
you.
minute, because I want to leave a minute for questions, Heather. Sorry to rush
So
you.
there's some amazing student voices in that video if you wanted to jump around and hear what students are saying about their experiences, and that these are the 4 areas that we are committed to as a system of changing and improving. So as supervisors, if we're looking at teaching candidates, just know that these are 3 areas that are super important to us and that we think are important as we're moving forward into potentially being online and not having that face-to-face experience. It works for brick and mortar though also. So this idea of knowing my inherent biases, right? And knowing what triggers me and what I react to, and knowing that in my students, building those warm and demanding alliances. And also the shift of power to students. If the teacher is the one that's talking like I am right now, right, the whole time, then how can we shift that and provide it to be more student voices, even in the systems that and the structures that we're teaching remotely? So I had some ideas for supervisors, but I'm going to fly through these. I think emptying the cup's important for you and also for your candidates that you're working with. It's easy to jump straight into the work, and I think we have to take time, Brene Brown says, to manage emotions, because if you don't manage emotions, you spend a lot of time managing people. So that would be one of my kind of takeaways from this work. And identifying school and district resources. We developed a district guide for educators. Here's the table of contents. If you needed to know about video recording, here's what you could do. Distance learning platforms, and this was all public and accessible. So as supervisors, you could go on here and find that for your teaching candidates. We also did updates, and our district took time to create videos so that you could see, parents could see, and teachers could see what the district expectation was for instruction. And so you could find which job class you were in and watch a video of what the highest level of expectation was for the work we were doing. So I think that's all we have time for, but one last side, one last one I wanted to talk about. Joe stole my thunder. I just ordered this for my staff because Fisher and Frey are at SDSU, who are one of our partners, and I'm also an alum of their admin program. And so when I saw they were doing that and it was John Hattie, I was like, that's gotta be good. Hattie's work is so amazing about closing achievement gaps. And I wanted to let all the supervisors know that if you go to I don't get paid for this, by the way. If you go to the website and you're an instructor, you can get a free copy of it sent to you. And then this is the book we are doing as a district with our principals and also our teachers. And there's some video links there if you wanted to hear a little bit more from the author, Bettina Love.
Thank you so much. What a lot of I feel terrible that we had to rush everybody through this. There were some great questions. Just wondering how districts, Esther asked, are districts or schools doing anything to kind of help welcome student teachers or make them feel included? I don't know if any of you are aware of how that's working, but.
Historically, we've always made student teachers part of all of our new employee things that we do all year. So we've always just treated our student teachers as if they're an employee of the organization. So they go through all of our, welcome back stuff, welcome to school, we provide them accounts, all those types of things. And then they are of course paired up with their supervising teacher throughout the year for support, but they attend all of the meetings and things that the supervising teacher would be doing.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your ideas. We really appreciate it.